Feeling Pinky Mean by Rainbowbob. Chapter 6. Visiting the Ville. Sombry stood in the middle of the street, slumped down and unmoving. His face was in the dirt, his cape covering much of his back, while he breathed in the scent of the Ponyville road. A sad fate for the ex-tyrant, that was for sure. Of course, Pinkie Pie was oblivious to his miserable predicament. "Come on, Sombry, you can't just laze around in the middle of the road like that," Pinkie said, bouncing around Sombry with that detested unlimited energy she seemed to radiate. Sombry covered his glowing eyes with both hooves. "I was hoping that a cart would arrive and run me over. Extra points if it runs you over as well." "Hey, no need to be grumpy, stumped down the slump." Stopping her monotonous bouncing, she leaned closer to Sombry's covered face. Lifting a hoof from his eye, she asked, "Since this is your first time in touring Ponyville, where do you want to go? I know every place and every pony here, so I can introduce you to all my friends." "I don't want to see your friends, and I don't want a tour of your town," Sombry replied, slapping Pinkie's hoof out of his face. "What I want is to burn this wretched village to the ground." "Isn't that what we have a fire station for?" Sombry groaned and gritted his sharp fangs so hard he was sure they'd crack. There was only so much torture he could handle, and the pink menace known as Pinkie Pie had cut his endurance into itsy-bitsy pieces and then trampled upon them under her hoof. How so much annoyingness coupled with jubilant energy managed to be contained in one pony he'd never know. What Sombry did know, however, was that he couldn't take it much more. "Listen," he said, practically hissing the words to her. "I'll go wherever you want, if you just shut up." Sombry instantly regretted those words when he felt himself being picked up by the mare and enwrapped in her hooves. Strong hooves, he noticed, when they cut off air to the rest of his body. "Yay!" Pinkie shouted, shaking Sombry in a powerful grip to and fro. "We can go to Sugar Corner, then to the park, and then to the ice cream stand, and then to the fountain, and say hello to all the ponies along the way. I just know you'll become good once you see how nice every pony else is." "Remember what we agreed to?" Sombry coughed out, feeling his windpipe collapsing in on itself. The armour he always wore offered little protection to Pinkie's back-breaking hugs. "No talking!" Pinkie looked at Sombry with a quivering lip and dejected look. "Oh, but how will I introduce you to every pony?" Sombry pushed Pinkie off of himself and brushed off his velvet cape. "Just try to manage to keep your insufferable trap shut, got it?" He really wanted to say more of how much he despised her very presence, but then he'd be repeating himself. "Okie dokie, Sombroki," Pinkie giggled, throwing up a salute. "And stop with the nicknames," Sombry demanded, though his words fell on deaf ears, or ears just out of earshot, since Pinkie was already bouncing ahead, unhinged. Grumbling, Sombry slowly trotted behind her, each hoofstep through the earth. He detested that pink mare to no end, but he really had no choice to follow her to wherever she wanted to take him. Not like staying in that library with that nuisance Twilight was any better. "Though right now, it seems like a better idea," Sombry said aloud. Pinkie bounced on ahead, stopping every now and then for Sombry's intentionally slow pace to catch up with her. More buildings sprung up around the pair as they entered deeper into the town. Sombry noted that they had the same consistent variety of hay-thatched roofs and simplistic architecture that resulted in nothing more than third-story country homes. The entire area had a warm and fuzzy air to it that left Sombry with a sickening feeling in his stomach. Didn't help that Pinkie had to smile and wave to every pony they passed. After the seventh or so greeting, Sombry asked, "Will you cut that out already?" Stopping in her tracks and twirling around to face him, Pinkie asked, "Why?" Sombry accidentally bumped into her nose with his own and immediately sidetracked back from her incredible closeness. "Will you?" "Oh!" Sombry groaned under his breath and ran a hoof down the centre of his face. "Stop intruding on my personal space!" "Well, what is your personal space?" Pinkie asked, staring at him curiously. Sombry ran a hoof across the earth, creating a straight line on the ground, at least 2 feet in front of himself. "This is my personal space," Sombra said, pointing to the line. "It is a space that only myself can be in, and myself alone. Do not cross it. Got it?" Pinkie saluted, but before she could say her usual bit, Sombra interrupted her and said, "And no, you can never say okie dokie Loki in my presence ever again." "Aww, why not?" Sombra gave a deadpan look, then walked past her, taking care to keep that 2-foot metaphorical separation barrier between them. "Just get on with showing me your pathetic shamble of a town." "Well, we have Town Square right here," Pinkie said, pointing this way, and that at the large plaza they had just entered from the road. Ponies hustled and bustled this way and that, with a much more lively attitude than the rest of the town. Market stalls sold every variety of food a pony's stomach can take and their mouths can chew. A couple of shops were also open, with a large selection of goods and trinkets for sale in their windows. Overall, it was a pristine view of a small town life, and Sombra hated every single second of it. The commerce, the business of the market, the happy smiling faces of each and every Ponyville citizen. It annoyed him to no end how bright and sunny everyone was. "Sombra, are you okay?" Pinkie asked, noticing Sombra having stopped in his tracks and glaring darkly at the ensemble of passing ponies. In his empire, it would be much different. Crystal ponies shackled together, forced to march down the streets in single file for their duty in the mines. How dejected their souls were, and every day total hopelessness, coupled with a permanent air of sadness, he was sure to create for every waking second in his empire. Just utter darkness and misery for all those under his rule. Pinkie tilted her head in curiosity. Now, Sombra was smiling, though it wasn't exactly a happy or joyous smile. More like, "I'm a heartless maniac" type of smile. "Sombry!" Pinkie called out, waving a hoof in front of his muzzle. "Crystal slave!" Sombra hissed, fangs parted, almost like he was going to pounce at something. Blinking and shaking his head, Sombra glared at Pinkie and said, "Didn't I already tell you to not call me by any nicknames, cretin?" "But you were acting all weirdo mojo," Pinkie exclaimed, while throwing her hooves up in the air in expiration. What with the staring at every pony and then the crystals and slaves thing you just said? Are you acting okay?" "Never better," Sombra snapped back. "I'm feeling fine about being held against my will in a backcountry hick of a town where I hate every single citizen. Yeah, I'm just great." "Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure." Pinkie smiled kindly to Sombra, who, in turn, contrasted her cheery grin with a deep and troubling frown. "Apparently sarcasm is lost on your tiny excuse for a brain," Sombra muttered under his breath. Pinkie tapped her temple. "But my brain isn't tiny." Pinkie gave her head a good rattle, with what sounded like cogs of a machine clicking and clanking inside. Sombra grimaced and stuck out his tongue in disgust. "Can you not act weird for 5 minutes?" he asked, holding back a begging tone. Just actually try. Got it?" "But there's nothing wrong about being weird, Sombry," Pinkie said. "No nicknames!" "You see, Sombry, every pony is a bit weird," Pinkie explained, while Sombra's face huffed. "It's what makes us unique and special." "You mean weak and stupid?" Sombra asked. Pinkie giggled. "No, silly horn. Weird is what makes you you." "You just used you twice there," Sombra pointed out, still not getting the point. Now Pinkie was the one to frown, but she quickly covered it up with an impossibly wide grin that sent shivers down Sombra's spine at the sheer length of it. "I did, but that isn't the point. I'm weird. You're weird. Every pony is weird. All of Equestria is weird. That's why every single pony is special, because of their weirdness. Without weird, we'd all be boring, bland and normal. Better to be a bit, or a lot, on the strange side than just be a boring two hooves that is all grumpy and mean." Sombra stared at her flatly, releasing a long held-back sigh. "Pinkie, you're an imbecile." He brushed past her, while Pinkie stared at his coattails as he walked on ahead, pouting her lips. Pinkie followed him, trotted faster to keep up. "Say, The guy with sideburns, she said to herself, giggling. What was that? Sombry called over his shoulder. Nothing, Sombry, she replied, barely able to hold back a laugh as she caught sight of his noticeably bad facial hair. She'd really have to take him for a trim at the barber sometime. Sombry opened his mouth, but thought better of it, and closed it. Those damn nicknames, he sighed, are going to drive me insane sooner than even her.